I'm Matt McClure, and this is Currents. A rally in New York to support Planned Parenthood. We'll take you to it and hear from the pro-life side.
Planned Parenthood is the very fabric of this country, a beloved organization that's so much more than people think.
And we'll check out another gathering outside a Planned Parenthood office to decry abortion.
41% of all pregnancies in New York City end in abortion. And the numbers are even more shocking when it comes to the black community.
Plus, how one nation is struggling to fight teen pregnancy.
Because of poverty, they end up having to be convinced by sugar daddies, if you sleep with me, I will take care of everything that you need.
Well, good evening. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. On this first day of Women's History Month, the subject of abortion continues to make headlines. In just a moment, we'll update you on the abortion debate here in New York. But first, we take you to Rome, where Pope Benedict had some strong words for healthcare providers on Monday.
The Pope has asked doctors not to propose abortion as a solution to family, economic, and social problems, or for health reasons of the child, because he says abortion does not solve anything and causes even more serious damage.
Si richiede ai medici una speciale fortezza per continuare ad affermare che l'aborto non risolve nulla, ma uccide il bambino, distrugge la donna e acceca la coscienza del padre del bambino, rovinando spesso la vita familiare.
The Pope made these remarks during his meeting with members of the Pontifical Academy for Life, which for 3 days analyzed post-abortion trauma and the therapeutic use of umbilical cord cells. He urged them to continue working in search of what he called more appropriate responses for the good of humanity. Speaking on abortion, Benedict XVI said that men should not abandon women at their time of need during pregnancy.
In questa riflessione sarebbe utile anche porre l'attenzione sulla coscienza, talvolta offuscata dai padri dei bambini, che spesso lasciano sole le donne incinte.
The Pope then asked the audience to continue providing psychological support for women who have had abortions so they can overcome the moral and existential trauma it often causes.
Well, meanwhile, another front in this battle made its way to Lower Manhattan over the weekend when an estimated crowd of about 5,000 people rallied in support of Planned Parenthood. The gathering was in response to the passage of a bill in the House of Representatives that would strip Planned Parenthood of all federal funding. Our cameras were there at Saturday's rally.
Planned Parenthood is the very fabric of this country, a beloved organization that's so much more than people think.
It's under the guise of abortion, but really in the attack against Planned Parenthood, it will in fact take away 97% of preventative care towards women that include family planning, contraception, STI and HIV testing, and abortions also. But in reality, it's about taking away family planning services to women across this nation.
We want Title X funding to be restored because it directly impacts our lives. Cuts to funding for programs like WIC and Planned Parenthood affect not just our reproductive health, but our economic lives, our education, and the lives of our children.
Planned Parenthood health centers are not located in majority African American neighborhoods. We see women from all races, all income levels, who live in a variety of communities, who come to us for their health care needs, and we are often their only source of health care.
We're not passing our bill that will force crisis pregnancy centers to be honest in a few weeks. We're passing it in a few days on Wednesday.
I think it's a good thing for there to be lots of different options out there for women. That's why when you go to a Planned Parenthood center, if you want information about abortion, you can get it. If you want information about adoption, you can get it. Crisis pregnancy centers have every right to exist, but they have to be honest about what they are. If they're not a medical facility, they just need to tell women that, and they need to stop representing themselves as medical facilities when they are not.
Well, you just heard Speaker Quinn there allude to Bill 371. The City Council going to vote tomorrow on that bill. It would impose restrictions on crisis pregnancy centers, pro-life pregnancy centers, signage and advertisements. Now, proponents of that bill say that they want truth in advertising, but critics say that bill is just another attack on crisis pregnancy centers. As a matter of fact, Brooklyn Bishop Nicholas DiMarzio and New York Archbishop Timothy Dolan issued a joint statement today expressing their opposition to Bill 371. The bishop said, quote, "This legislation is designed to prevent pro-life advocates from speaking freely merely because their speech is considered unwelcome by some powerful interest groups that favor abortion." Now, they also expressed disappointment that the bill was proposed at a time when the abortion rate in the city stands at 41%. That is according to the latest numbers. Well, joining me now to talk more about this, about Bill 371 and the Planned Parenthood rally, is the president of EMC Frontline Pregnancy Centers. He is Chris Slattery. Chris, thanks for being here again.
Thank you, Matt.
I really appreciate your time. First of all, I want to get your reaction to what Speaker Quinn had to say at the end of that piece that we just saw. Bill 371, I know this has been something that you've been extremely involved in trying to defeat.
Well, I think she went on in that rally and actually said this was a payback to Republicans who thwarted the funding of Planned Parenthood. And she even went further to say, we want to make sure we get this bill through before Jessica Lappin, the prime proponent of the bill, has her baby, ironically. So they're really pushing it now for very personal reasons, in a rush. And this is after revising it, and in my opinion, in the last week, they made it even worse.
Gotcha. You tell us about a little bit about some of those revisions that were made to the bill, because as you just said, you're not very happy about those.
Yeah, those revisions went beyond the restrictions where we originally saw the bill restricting the advertising and requiring signage in lobbies and waiting rooms and on the front doors of the offices. Now, there's positive speech requirements. We have to say specific government-ordered words to the women on the phone and in person when they come into the offices.
Gotcha. So,
and this is a chilling First Amendment violation that was upheld in a decision of January 28th by Judge Marvin Garvis in Baltimore, where he knocked down the first regulation of this kind in Baltimore, which only there dealt with signage restrictions, declaring those restrictions unconstitutional as a violation of the First Amendment.
And you guys are going to rally, your group EMC is going to rally tomorrow, I understand, in Lower Manhattan.
We have a rally. We're meeting at 12:15 p.m. in front of Trinity Church on Wall Street and Broadway. And then we'll be marching up to the Immigrant Savings Bank where the City Council is meeting while City Hall's under renovation. That's on Chambers Street.
All right, good. So you'll be doing that then. Now, if this does pass tomorrow, it's expected to that it will probably pass tomorrow in the City Council. If that does happen, what are the next steps for you? Are you going to take the city to court over this?
Absolutely. We have retained the American Center for Law and Justice, which is a pro bono, pro-family, pro-justice, pro-life law firm based in Washington, D.C., and we plan on filing a temporary restraining order the day after Mayor Bloomberg signs it, if he goes ahead and does that, which we expect.
Okay. All right. We'll of course keep on top of that. Now, I also wanted to ask you, of course, about all of the goings on with Planned Parenthood as well. We were talking a little bit before we went on the air here about those undercover videos and everything. What's your takeaway from the House of Representatives voting recently to defund Planned Parenthood as far as federal funding goes? What's your outlook there? Is that going to stand, do you think?
Well, there's a big, tonight at 9 p.m., there's a big nationwide call-in teleconference for pro-life activists. Information can be obtained through exposeplannedparenthood.com. The big focus right now is trying to get the Senate to pass a tandem version of the defunding of Planned Parenthood. That may be unlikely, but there's a lot of leverage the House can make in conference committee over the final continuing resolution.
Sure. All right. Well, of course, that's another one of those issues that's it's probably not going anywhere anytime soon, but we'll keep following it, of course, and we'll be there with you guys tomorrow as you rally in Lower Manhattan.
Fantastic.
And we'll keep following you.
We need a lot of prayer. We may pull out a victory, who knows, but it was very good to have the Archbishop and the Bishop of Brooklyn speak together today, condemning this bill and speaking up for us. We really do appreciate them coming out in support of us.
Well, and we appreciate you being here, Chris Slattery. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks, Matt.
Well, let's stay tuned. There is much more currents coming up. House Republicans say that if the administration won't defend the Defense of Marriage Act, they will. That story and the rest of the day's headlines next. Welcome back to Currents. I'm Matt McClure. Coming up later, a different kind of pregnancy crisis in a poverty-stricken nation. But first, let's have a look at the day's headlines. Well, there is more blowback today from proposed guidelines released in the UK on how doctors should talk with women about abortion. Among other things, the guidelines from a medical association instruct doctors and other healthcare workers to tell women that having an abortion is safer than having a baby. A director at one pro-life organization tells the website Life News that the guidelines downplay the physical and psychological side effects of abortion. He said Ireland, where abortion is banned, has the world's best record regarding women's health. Elsewhere in the UK, a Christian couple has been banned from caring for foster children because of their views on homosexuality. Two High Court judges ruled that in the case of foster care, the rights of homosexuals should take precedence over religious belief. The judges also said that Britain was largely secular and that the laws of the country do not include Christianity. The couple had previously provided foster care to 15 children. Well, turning now to the Vatican, where Pope Benedict met with the President of the European Parliament on Monday. The Vatican's press office says the men discussed relations between the Church and Europe, as well as the situation in the Middle East. Parliament President Jerzy Buzek says both he and the Pope were hopeful that the People's Movement would lead to democracy in the Arab world. Well, now it is official. Today, Pope Benedict accepted the resignation of Los Angeles Archbishop Cardinal Roger Mahony. Mahony had submitted his resignation on Sunday after he reached the mandatory retirement age of 75. He was Archbishop of Los Angeles for more than 25 years and is automatically succeeded by coadjutor Archbishop Jose Gomez. Well, the Obama administration reportedly appealing a federal court ruling on health care reform from Virginia. In the case, the state of Virginia challenged the mandate that Americans purchase health insurance that includes taxpayer-funded abortions. Now, the Obama administration urging an appeals court to overturn the judge's ruling, arguing the mandate is allowed under the Constitution's Commerce Clause. The Life News website reports that the Office of Virginia's Attorney General is expected to file its own brief in response to the action by the Obama administration. From Washington, House Republicans pledging to defend the Defense of Marriage Act, or DOMA, which defines marriage as between a man and a woman. Last week, the Obama administration announced it would no longer defend DOMA. Today, before a House subcommittee, Attorney General Eric Holder explained that decision.
The world legal landscape has changed in the 15 years since Congress passed DOMA. Supreme Court has ruled that laws criminalizing private homosexual conduct are, in fact, unconstitutional. Congress has repealed the military's Don't Ask, Don't Tell Act. Several lower courts have ruled DOMA itself to be unconstitutional. So I think the decision that the President made, and again, I'm not hiding upon my recommendation, I think is appropriate.
Well, I think it's inappropriate, and I think it's a bad decision, but we'll see how history treats it.
Well, that was Appropriations Subcommittee Chairman Frank Wolf, you heard there at the end. Meanwhile, House Majority Leader Eric Cantor told reporters it was a very troubling event, learning that President Obama has taken the position to not defend the law of the land, meaning DOMA. And in a statement, House Speaker John Boehner said Republicans will challenge Obama on DOMA. Well, legislators in Maryland, meanwhile, may be taking a page from the playbook of their Wisconsin counterparts. Maryland's House Judiciary Committee delayed a vote on a bill to legalize same-sex marriage after two delegates who support that measure failed to show up. Now, one of those delegates says she skipped the vote to draw attention to other legislation she's advocating. Meanwhile, the bishops of the three dioceses that serve Maryland are asking Catholics to make their voices heard. In a statement, they called the recent vote by Maryland's Senate regrettable, and the bishops are urging Catholics to contact their state legislators. Well, north of the border, a Canadian couple is so far refusing to remove their one-year-old son from life support. The boy, known as Baby Joseph, has been hooked to a ventilator and a feeding tube. A medical panel ruled that the boy, who suffers from neurological disease, is in a persistent vegetative state and has no chance of recovery and should be removed from life support. A judge sided with that medical panel, but the parents are planning to appeal. From Hollywood, she may have been known as a glamorous pinup girl, but actress Jane Russell was also a woman of faith. Russell died Monday in California of respiratory failure. She was 89 years old. Best known for her roles in the Howard Hughes film The Outlaw and the musical Gentlemen Prefer Blondes opposite Marilyn Monroe, Russell was also the leader of the Hollywood Christian group who gathered for Bible study and to do good works. She was a vocal advocate for adoption as well. She was unable to conceive, which she said was the result of a back alley abortion she had when she was 19. After experiencing problems adopting children, the 3 children that she later adopted, she founded the World Adoption International Fund, which helps with international adoptions. In lieu of flowers, Russell's family asked donations be made to 2 organizations, a crisis pregnancy center and an organization that helps abused children. Well, and following Charlie Sheen's much publicized meltdown, his father, actor Martin Sheen, is asking people to pray. In an interview on the UK's Sky News, Martin Sheen says the best way to support his son is with prayer. Charlie Sheen's sitcom 2.5 Men was canceled for the remainder of the season after Sheen badmouthed the show's creator and lead writer in a radio interview. He was arrested in New York in October of last year for causing thousands of dollars in damages to a suite at the Plaza Hotel. The NYPD said Sheen admitted to having been drinking and using drugs. Well, stay tuned. There's much more currents coming up. When we return, it was a national day of mourning for abortion. We go to a gathering in Midtown.
Today we mourn for those lost lives. Today we mourn for those women. Today we come together to show this nation, across this nation, that we are waking up.
Welcome back. Earlier, we saw the rally in Lower Manhattan in support of Planned Parenthood. But now we're going to take you to another rally outside of one of Planned Parenthood's national offices here in New York. Except this time, people were not gathered to support the organization, but rather to pray for an end to abortion, specifically abortion in the Black community. It was a national day of mourning sponsored by the National Black Pro-Life Coalition. It came on the heels of the controversial billboard in Soho that read, "The most dangerous place for an African American is in the womb." Yesterday's rally was one of many taking place around the country, and we sent our cameras to check it out.
41% of all pregnancies in New York City end in abortion. And the numbers are even more shocking when it comes to the Black community. More Black babies are aborted than born alive.
Abortions in the Black community is the #1 cause of death. You can combine AIDS, heart disease, cancer, violent crimes, accidents, and the atrocities of the Ku Klux Klan and still not match the numbers of Black babies killed by abortion. If these numbers isn't a genocidal attack, then what is it?
Today is the National Day of Mourning. It's a nationwide event that's taken place in 15 other cities. We're here today in New York City in front of the Planned Parenthood corporate headquarters. The roots of Planned Parenthood go all the way back to Margaret Sanger with the Negro Project. She basically approached Black pastors and leaders and convinced them that Black women were too poor to have children, and this was the better way to reduce the birth rate.
So God, we ask you now in the precious and mighty name of Jesus, no more, God. No more, God. Open up the minds of pastors, oh God. Open up the minds of mothers, oh God. Open up the minds of even those in the evil industry of abortion, oh God. Change their hearts, oh God, so no more babies will die, oh God.
We are standing here in unity, in solidarity, in love to pray for them, that their eyes will be open and that they will see and know the truth. Billions of dollars that have gone into the abortion industry. If you take those same billions, put it into our communities, there would be no social, economic variances.
Even the billboard that has come down that has brought to light the reality that the most dangerous place for an African American is to be in the mother's womb. Of 60% of documented pregnancies in New York City in the Black community are ending in abortion. So I think that now is the time for more people to stand up and act, and that's my prayer, that the Lord will raise up more people that would labor for life.
Today we mourn for those lost lives. Today we mourn for those women. Today we come together to show this nation, across this nation, that we are waking up. The third wave is in effect and we're coming forth, and there will be a change. We declare that there will be a change in the church and there will be a change in the black community.
Well, stay tuned. There's much more Currents coming up. Just ahead, addressing a pregnancy crisis in a poverty-stricken nation.
It is society that is failing these young kids because we're not giving them proper guidance.
Well, finally tonight, it is another pregnancy crisis, but not here in New York. Rather, it's in another country, South Africa. This pregnancy crisis involves teenagers, and officials in that country say the problem of teen pregnancy is rampant. The issue has attained even greater focus recently, following a case of alleged infanticide at a school built by an American media giant. CNN's Nkapili Mabuse is in Johannesburg with more.
I know I can become whatever I want to be.
It's a model school built to produce model students by one of the world's most powerful media moguls. The Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls just outside Johannesburg was established 3 years ago with noble intentions and high ideals.
I know that when you educate a girl, you begin to change the face of a nation, because girls become women and they educate their girls and their boys and their children. Girls who are educated are less likely to get diseases like HIV and AIDS.
But it soon became clear that taking children out of their poor backgrounds doesn't make them immune to South Africa's social ills. There was a sexual abuse scandal in 2007, and now a pupil at the school is being investigated for concealing the birth of her own child. Police say the 17-year-old gave birth at the school, but the baby was found dead in a bag she took to hospital when she was admitted.
Teenage pregnancy is a worldwide problem. What has become of major concern here in South Africa is that young, poor and afraid, some mothers are resorting to dumping their own babies.
The situation appears most grave in the Western Cape, where authorities say 550 babies were dumped in 1 year. This teenager has been charged with murder. She reported her 6-week-old baby stolen last year. She even made an appeal to the alleged baby snatcher on national television.
Can you please bring my baby? I will give him anything.
Police found her dead infant covered with a corrugated iron sheet not far from her home. In Gauteng, which is where Johannesburg is located, the provincial health minister says 10,000 teens gave birth last year.
There are a whole range of reasons. One being that others will tell you that because of poverty, they end up having to be convinced by sugar daddies to say,
older men.
If you sleep, older men, yes, if you sleep with me, I will take care of everything that you need. Some of them, all of them want to own cell phones. They want to drive in expensive cars.
And in a country with one of the highest HIV infection rates in the world, the lure of material goods can be deadly.
Has government's HIV prevention message failed the young people of South Africa?
Well, it's not the government's message that has failed, but it is society that is failing these young kids because we're not giving them proper guidance.
A lack of guidance that is ending lives before they begin.
That report from CNN's Nkapili Mabuse. Well, that is it for tonight's edition of Currents. Now, coming up on tomorrow's show, a form of slavery in modern America. A conference in Queens takes a look at the issue of human trafficking. But until then, be sure to visit us online. We're at currentsny.net. You can also catch up with us on Facebook and on Twitter as well. For all of us here at Currents, I'm Matt McClure. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great night.